I can still remember my first canoe trip in Algonquin Park. It was such a simple trip. We paddled no more than 5 feet from shore and camped at one of the first campsites we found. You could almost see our truck from where we camped, yet somehow it felt like we were in the wildest place on earth. Years later, we've now camped and canoed all across Canada in some of the most beautiful and wild places on earth, yet we always love and look forward to an Algonquin canoe trip. While talking to some friends, they asked a question that I didn't have an answer for. They simply asked if I thought Algonquins still felt wild. Unable to answer, I thought the best remedy would be to head out on a simple canoe trip through a few of Algonquin's most popular lakes and see how it felt.
Hello, Father. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. What are you up to?
Working today or hardly working?
No, not not working. Not working. I'm actually up at Algonquin right now.
Oh, are ya?
Yeah. I'm gonna go head into Tommy Thompson Lake, I think.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really nice island as soon as you cross the Beaver Dam. Straight ahead of you, there's a really nice island there.
Okay.
It's
Well,
lovely.
that's where I'll aim for then.
Is it windy or up there?
It is quite windy. Yeah. We'll see what it's like going across Canoe Lake.
Anybody else there?
I haven't seen anybody.
No.
It's pretty quiet in the parking lot.
Oh, very good. Just an overnighter or?
2 nights. 2 nights. I might stay on one of the Joe Lakes tonight and then head to Tommy Thompson tomorrow and then back on Sunday. So, anyways, I'll let you roll.
Yeah, and be safe.
I will.
Alrighty.
All right, Dad. I'll give you a shout on the way home.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dad. Oh, tell you what, Lou, this might be the least wild lake in Algonquin Park, but that is a wild way to start. Man, is that ever windy. Day 1 of a 3-day trip, and that is a windy start. Holy man, is that ever windy going across Canoe Lake. I'm thankful that I don't have too far to go. I've booked a site on Joe Lake tonight, which is only a kilometer or so ahead of me right now. And I am grateful that I don't have to go too far because that is incredibly windy out there. This is one of those places I've come in Algonquin. Feels like 1,000 times now. Anyone who's been here knows that in the middle of summer it can be incredibly busy. Hard to find a spot to put your canoe, but not today. There's nobody here. The parking lot was basically empty. It's got a much different feel to it. Just on Joe Lake here, and I'm trying to find a campsite that's not in the wind. It is insane right now. So I might paddle the other side of the lake here, see if I can get some shelter over there. Here, buddy. You don't stay. Girl, Lou. Oof. It's gonna be good, Lou. That was a heck of a day. That was a heck of a day. Considering we only paddled a few kilometers and are on one of the easiest lakes in Algonquin to get to, I gotta say it was actually relatively challenging. I started late. I didn't get on the water till around 1 o'clock, and that wind was just insane. It's just so quiet. It feels a little bit wild. I'm excited to go to Tom Thompson Lake tomorrow. It's for the longest time I've wanted to go there. I've paddled through it, but I've never camped there. And my dad is always talking about that lake. And when my brother was younger, he took him. He would have taken me too, but I must have had something going on. I must have had hockey or something going on. And he took my brother there, and I remember my brother coming back with so many stories, and it just sounded like such an adventure. Hey Lou, should we go get dinner? Hey, go check on it? Let's go. Let's go. So good. So we're off the Tom Thompson Lake today. We don't have very far to go. It's maybe 8 kilometers or so. So it should take us less than 2 hours. Super windy night again. The wind actually seems a little bit better this morning. So I actually have cell phone service here, so I checked the weather forecast, and there's a special weather statement for this area with high winds. So they're saying gusts of up to, I think it was close to 100 kilometers an hour this evening. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully there's some shelter on that lake. This site is perfect, and it makes me not really want to leave this site. It was so nice here last night. It was quite windy across the lake, but tucked back in there, you could have a nice fire, and it was a beautiful evening. It's really interesting being here right now. I've paddled through here quite a few times now over the last few years, and almost every single time I race through here. I try my hardest to get through here as quick as I possibly can, and I never really take it in, but it's really beautiful here. think that's the island that my dad and my brother stayed at. And I'm pretty sure that there's somebody camped there right now. I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed that there's somebody here. Not that it's a big deal. They've got every right to be here, and I'm glad people are getting out. But there's always a small part of me that wishes you're the only one on the lake. And I was hoping to see, I'm almost certain that that's where my dad and my brother would have camped on their fishing adventure. So now I can either find another site, or I can change my route and maybe go over to Porter Lake. We'll see. I'm gonna go paddle around. Let's check out the other island site. Reassess.
Although disappointed that I couldn't camp on the island site, I ended up paddling around the majority of the lake looking for that perfect site. I have to say that it's almost a curse having too much time and too many options on places to camp. Sometimes the best site is the one you're forced to stay at. In the end, I decided to start making my way back towards Joe Lake. With strong winds and stormy weather in the forecast for the next couple of days, the less distance to travel my final day, the better.
Well, I have to say, it's been a interesting couple of days being out here. This time of year, with almost nobody around, it certainly gives Algonquin a different feel. I feel like the more time I spend in Algonquin, the more wild I feel like it actually is. And I don't mean wild as in wild like the Yukon or Northwest Territories, but considering where it is, just a few hours north of one of the biggest cities in North America, that we can come out here and have this thousands of acres to go explore, and really, for the most part, it is quite wild. Regardless though, Algonquin for me just seems to hold a bit of a special place. It's where I did my first real canoe trip with Ashley, where we did our first backpacking trip, where I feel like I've learned so much here. Such a great spot to come, and I've never once been disappointed with a trip to Algonquin.
After weathering the storm, it was time to get up and get moving. With the wind picking up, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to paddle out or have to portage down a logging road to make my way back to the access.
Oh yeah, that's windy. We're actually going backwards right now. It's a bad sign.
I would eventually make my way back to Canoe Lake and take a second to explore the Tom Thompson Memorial. It felt like a fitting way to wrap up the trip, reading about a man who clearly loved and cherished this incredible park. Reading the plaque and looking back at the old pictures really makes you think about what this park would have been like 100 years ago. It also makes me think that for over 100 years, people have traveled from all over the world to explore this amazing place. Reflecting back on the trip and whether or not Algonquin is still wild or ever was wild has been interesting for me. I was recently reading a book where the author stated that most, if not all, First Nation languages do not have a word for wild or wilderness, because for them it was, and in many cases still is, their home. I think people use the word wild now for places they go that make them feel scared or vulnerable. At the end of the day, the feeling of wilderness is different for everyone. But for me, Algonquin still has enough wild for me to feel right at home.